Now tell me your name and what your experience is with Hardrock.
David Horton. My experiences with Hardrock are pretty extensive. I was there before the first year. In 1992, I won the race in 92 and 93, and then went back and ran it three more times. It's a neat race. It's a great race. I saw early on that it's going to have the problems that they have now. I told him, I said, you better plan for this. You better be thinking about this. Someday you'll have more runners than this. Help measure the course out, find the course the first year, and that was really neat with Rick Trujillo and the other three who were the founders of the race. It's just good to see and good to be on the ground floor. At that time they called it a postgraduate race. And again, I don't know whether you know or not, but initially they had plans on starting at different places. They had plans on starting it the first year in Silverton, then maybe the next year in Lake City, then the next year in Ouray, then the next year in Telluride, and then back to Silverton, then rotate the directions. And they had ideas of rotating the start every year. But after the first year, they found out the people of Silverton really, really liked it and really supported the race, so they never did change it after that. Yes, they do love it. Initially, they sort of thought it was crazy, I think, and thought it was unique, and but then I think it's become a part of the fabric a little bit of Silverton to the locals. Again, the locals who live there and don't necessarily make their living off the tourist trade with the train and everything, but a neat town, neat place. And again, I've seen a difference in terms of, I remember when I first went to Leadville, I don't know, in the 90s, and right when Leadville was really sort of getting started, and the town looked sort of rough and run down, and Silverton looked the same way. But now you see some buildings. The town is cleaner, neater than it was initially. So I've seen a change in the town since the race first started in 1992.
Tell me about going out and surveying the course.
That was really unique. Those three guys, Gordon Hardman, Charlie Thorne, I can't think of the other guy's name.
John Kappas.
John Kappas. Had plotted out a course, and they had it on a map, but they'd never been over all the trails and never been over all the course. And so those three plus myself and Rick Trujillo and Dennis Herr from Harrisonburg, Virginia, were out there, and we measured the course, found the course, and saw where the course went that first year. And there were some places, I'm sure it goes today, that back then we thought, do we go here or we go here? Well, let's go here. So I'm sure we made some places that weren't really some of the trails, but and there's been some minor changes over the years with respect to the course. Around the Handies, there's been some changes. We used to go through a tougher area, steeper climb, steeper descent, depending on which direction it's going. But it was sort of a wilderness study area, and the race got kicked out of there. But overall, there's not been a lot of changes in the course. It's pretty well stayed the same. And so, like I said, the first year we were looking for the course, found the course, and then over a period of a week and a half, we measured the course and saw where the course was. And then right before the race, we thought, okay, and now we have to do all this in one day. And we thought, this is not possible. And we really thought that might not be possible, but it was.
Dennis, he's the guy who puts on the Wild Oak Trail.
Yes.
Oh, neat. I think I've met him once briefly.
Yeah.
Wow, he was out there too.
Yes. In fact, the first year we were running together, and we was doing, let's see, what direction were we doing? Clockwise direction. And we got to Lake City. I'm not sure what that's called now, Burris Park maybe or something.
Yeah.
And he said, I got to sleep. I said, no, we're in first. You can't sleep. And he said, no, I've got to sleep. And I said, well, I'm going on. He said, well, I'm going to sleep. So he laid down there and slept 6 or 7 hours. And then got up, and I went on and won the race. And he was about 10th place, and he went 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th. Finally finished in second place. So I won and he finished second. The next year we went out there. It was the opposite direction. And when we got to Ouray, he said, I got to sleep. I said, no, we're in the lead. You can't sleep. He said, I'm sleeping. So he slept 4 or 5 hours, and I went on and won the race that year, and he finally finished, I think, 5th or 6th that year. So I think they might have instituted some policy for in terms of how long you stay at an aid station, but he slept both years and came on and ran strong thereafter. Yes, it does. Well, there's a crowd of people putting on the races in Northern Virginia, the Happy Trails people, and then
Yeah.
me and Clark Zeeland down here, we got 6 races. So, yeah, there's a lot happening.
I saw a bunch of Happy Trails shirts out in Silverton.
Yeah, they had John Kriski was running, and Keith Nippling was running, and then a lot of other people were just out there visiting and helping and crewing them. People love Hardrock. I love Hardrock. I've been out there. You know, I was finished it 5 times, dropped out once, and I've been out there helping or watching or crewing, I think 3 or 4 other times. So I've been out there quite a bit, and I'll probably be out there next year.
What do you think are the key parts of the course if you're going counterclockwise like this year?
Well, I think, and you don't hear people talk about it, but when you're going counterclockwise, you stay at a high elevation for a long period of time, going counterclockwise. And then the last half of the loop, you go up to high elevation, then down to a lower elevation, then up to high elevation, and down to lower elevation as you finish up. I think that direction is harder in terms of physically, but I think it's easier in terms of altitude. When you're going the counterclockwise direction, you stay at that high elevation. And I know when I go clockwise, I like the downhills with the snow and the scree and stuff, but then at the end, you stay at a very high elevation for a long period of time. So I think it's easier when you go up to high elevation, then come back down, go up to high elevation, come back down. So I always seem to do a little bit better when I went counterclockwise rather than clockwise. So I think, and people don't talk about that, being at such a high elevation for a long time when you're going, let's see, counterclockwise or either clockwise. You're going to have it one time or the other. And I think it's easier if you have that at the beginning of a race rather than at the end of the race.
Tell me about the mining history and the ghost towns that you go by.
Oh, it's just amazing. But each year, the buildings crumble more and more and more. But you see all sorts of signs of big, heavy stuff. And you just wonder, how in the world did they get that stuff up here? I mean, that Bear Creek Trail out of Ouray, with it sounds like you're walking glass or plates or broken plates, and then you get up there to those 2 or 3 mines up there, and you see some of the remains of it, big, huge, heavy stuff. And you think about that trail, and you look at the bluff, and you see how that trail's cut out. I'm a AT trail maintainer, have been for 25 years, and I've built trails up here on the mountain. And I know the work that goes into it, and I see that. If you ever see a trail that's cut out of the side of the hill, look what's below and look what's above, and think that was all straight up and down before. And that was all solid rock before. To cut that out of solid rock, it just blows my mind where they have mines all over the place up there. It's just amazing, the mines. And hard rock miners, and of course, why do they call it hard rock? The rock was hard, and they were tough miners. So yes, and of course some people made millions of dollars in the industry back into the early 1900s, was flourishing, but and there's still a few people that mine gold up there now, and there is still gold there. You talk to Rick Trujillo and you find out there's gold all over the world. It's just the cost to get the gold out. You're going to have low times. You're going to have difficult times in life. In ultra races especially, there's going to be low times, and of course in Hardrock, the climbs are just forever. You can be on top of one mountain and see a pass over across another mountain, but then you look way down below and you got to go way down there and then go way up there, and at places you can see a bunch of the passes, a bunch of the mountains in different places. And in terms of hard patches, sure, every ultra, there's hard patches, low patches, tough patches, dark patches. You just have to keep moving. And of course, the hard thing is, I know for myself, when I was doing the half with a high elevation, I always had difficulty eating. I'd feel pressure up under my sternum. That was always hard. But when I'd go up and down, that's a little bit easier. But you have to be really, really patient. You have to be good at slow. And you think about the records, Killian and them running 24 hours. They're averaging a little better than 4 miles an hour. That's a little better than 15-minute miles. That sounds ridiculously slow, but he can run ridiculously fast. Well, that's why you have to be good at slow. Just like at Barkley, you have to be good at slow. And AT, you have to be good at slow. Long things, you have to be good at slow and be able to continue and not get too mentally down. And you have to think about when you're down, you have to think about, what do I need to change? Is it something physical? Or is it something psychological? Do I need to eat more? Do I need to eat less? Do I need to drink more? Do I need to drink less? What do I need to do to make some changes to get out of this patch? And everyone has them in every race.
And you like to eat real food?
Yes. I think as much as possible you've got to eat real food. Real food is these gels and all sorts of things like that. They work if you're in a short race, but the longer the race, the more you need real food. And I know I've done some long things, across the country, running and biking, and what do I eat? Real food. What do I like best? Ice cream. What do I like best? Milkshakes. Milkshakes is the best thing in the world. And I know, I'm not sure if many people do that at Hardrock, but I do that in races, and I did that on a regular basis. I do that biking, drinking a milkshake, 500-600 calories, and they always, to me, go down well. And helps cool you off too, plus it tastes good, lots of calories, and can be turned into energy really quickly.
Tell me what it's like to line up on the start line in Silverton that morning.
Sort of like any start line. There's a certain amount of anxiety. You're wondering, can I do this? I've done it before, but can I do it again? This is going to be really, really hard. You're going to destroy your body. You're going to destroy yourself. It's going to be so difficult getting up and down all those mountains and climbing at 30,000 plus feet, as well as descending at 30,000 feet. And so it's cool and anxious and neat, but intimidating and scary. And that's true of every one of my long, tough ultras. At the start, you think, do I want it bad enough? Have I trained hard enough? And just because you train hard enough doesn't mean you're not going to suffer. You probably suffer more. So it's a neat thing, but a cool thing, but a tough thing, but an anxious thing. And you think, why am I doing this? And I know I thought that this summer when I was biking across the country. Why am I doing this? I've done a lot. I don't need to do something else. Yes, you do. Suck it up. Be tough. Don't be a wuss. Don't be a weenie. So it's always a mental struggle. It's before the race, during the race, it's always a mental struggle. It's always, what is always neat is trying to get to that point when I think I can finish. Until you get to that point, it's sort of a really tough thing. I think I realized this summer when I was doing that bike race that across the country, that when I had 6 days left, I figured up how much mileage I had, and I thought, if I average 125 miles a day, I can finish in 6 days. Whoa! That's cool. That's neat. And physically, you're feeling good enough, and you thought, I can do it. And so that's what I thought too. Of course, that doesn't mean it's not going to be easy. I mean, you think about a Hardrock or any 100-miler, you still got miles and miles to go, and it's still like you always feel like I'm never going to finish, and then finally you get to that point. Yes, I'm going to finish. I'm going to get there. So that's cool, but there's more, I think, negative thoughts, even myself and all the races I've done, than positive thoughts. What if? Do I want it bad enough? Have I trained hard enough?
Tell me, what do you think Hardrock does to or for your soul?
That's a tough question. You asked me about that last night. I'm not quite sure. Makes you tough, and if you can handle hard rock, you can handle lots of other things. But I think people who just do one hard thing, they revel in that. Well, to me, I want to do a hard thing, then I want to do another hard thing, and then to me, it's just a huge fix. It's like having $1 million in your checking account or $1 million in your pocket. It gives you satisfaction that you know you've been challenged by a very, very difficult thing. And I wanted it more than once. That's why people go back and back and back and back and back. But what I think they need to think about doing is do something harder. Do something harder. And there are harder things out there. There's always something harder. Always. I'm satisfied right now. I finished, 2 weeks and 2 days ago, the Trans-America Bike Race. 4,266 miles. I average 133 miles a day. Right now, I'm satisfied. Right now, I'm pleased. Right now, I'm sort of okay. But that's not going to last long. How long will it last? A few more weeks. A few more weeks, maybe even 6 months. But someone says, what do you think about doing next? I don't know. I don't have any idea. Really, I don't. And they're not talking about doing a short thing. They're talking about doing a big thing. But even though I'm 67 and got a replacement knee and had open heart surgery and can't run, I'll probably do something else. Will it be as hard as things I've done in the past? I don't know. Probably. But I don't know what it'll be. You need a fix. I need a fix. So this will do for a while, but not for a long, long time. And so why do people go back to Hardrock? Get another fix. Why do people run marathons over and over? To get another fix. And I've always liked doing things tougher. But sometimes it's hard to find things tougher. But people say, how did running across America, 3,000 miles compared to biking across America, 4,200 miles? Both hard. And in a way, biking across was harder. Well, maybe it's because I was older. But maybe not. Maybe the difference was I was biking 13, 14, 15 hours a day. I was only running about 7 hours a day to cover 45 miles. So anyway, once you do something, run 100 miles, once you do hard rock, and once you do finish grindstone with a certain time, you'll want to do it faster. Or you'll want to do some other 100. But I think never being satisfied is the key, and I'm not quite ever satisfied. I'm satisfied right now for a while. My wife, I'm sure she thinks, okay, now you've mountain biked across the country, and you road biked across the country, and you've ran across the country, and you've done the AT and the PCG. Isn't that enough? For now.
Yeah. You don't think you'll ever go back and run hard rock with your knee?
No, probably not. I got my knee replaced at the Mayo Clinic, and he said, if you're getting this done to run, you shouldn't get it done. And he said, it's a mechanical device. This is going to wear out faster. I know I'm over the hill. And I have run 2 ultras. Rephrase that. I've covered 2 ultras since I had my knee replacement, but I didn't train for either one, 2 50Ks. So I could say I've done a 50K in 5 decades, 5 different decades. So I probably won't go back to running because it'd be bad for my knee and I have to get a new knee replaced sooner. Is biking 4,200 miles good for my knee? No. But did it hurt? No, never hurt. Never hurt any during it. Doesn't hurt any now. But running's harder. Running's tougher on your body. It's definitely tougher on a replaced knee. What kind of stories do I have about scree slides? A great one with respect to when we looked over the edge. It's just vertical and loose rocks down below. And I thought, where does the course go? And they said, right here. Right down through there. I said, this is the course? This is the trail? This is where it is on the mountain? They said, yes. I said, what are we going to do? And Richter Hill just jumped off the bank and started running down the scree slide. I said, no, 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 no. And I really did. I thought he's going to kill himself. And then the others jumped off and started doing the same thing, and I was the last one to jump off. I didn't want to, but everyone else did, so I had to. So you do what the people around you do. And so I jumped off and started running down the scree slide, and I thought, this is so cool. The scree slide, running down scree is so much fun. The problem with it is when people do it time after time after time, it wears all the scree off, and you got some solid ground there. Boy, you slide down a scree and you hit solid ground. Whoa! Rick has Rick Trujillo has a little loop and outside Uray there, and the amphitheater, called the Lone Widow Route. And he's taken a few people on it, and a few people have backed out. And in the route, you get on a scree slide, and you run down the scree slide, and right before it goes off the bluff, you got to jump off the trail. And he took me on that route, and I loved it. He's taken other people on the route, they'd stop, and they would not go on. So anyway, scree, I love scree. Scree's fun. It's a neat thing. Sometime if you ever get a chance, you need to go climb Link. And the Democrat brought us 414ers, and you can do 414ers in a 10-mile run. And coming off the last one has the biggest scree slide in Colorado, and it's monstrous. It must be two miles or something. Just amazing how big it is. So sometime when you're out there, climb those 4 mountains and read up on it and see which one's the best scree slide in Colorado. Wow. It's cool.